Welcome today. Today we're going to be doing this card here, which will actually make 4 cards with what we're doing. So let's get started. So first off, you need 4 bits of paper in the Whisper White, 10.2 by 7.7 centimeters. So what we're going to be doing on this, and these are going to create these colored sections here. So what we're going to be doing on this is we're going to be doing some heat embossing. So I'll just get my scrap bit of paper down. So with the heat embossing, you need to use your Versamark ink. Put it up the right way. But the first thing and most important thing is you need your embossing buddy. So you just want to run it over your paper, and that's just going to stop the embossing powder sticking to anywhere you don't want it to stick. The stamps that we're going to be using today for this section is from the Free as a Bird stamp set, and we're going to be using this flower here. So I've got it on my clear block, and all we're going to do is we're just going to create a background. So we're just going to stamp it on our block, stamp it on our ink pad, and then all over the page. You can do some off, some on. This is why you need some scrap paper behind, because you want to be, I like to stamp off the page so we get nice coverage over everything. So you just stamp with your Versamark, and then from there we need to put some clear Stampin' Emboss powder over it. So this is why I've got a scrap bit of paper underneath, so it will catch anything that doesn't stick, because we don't want to waste our embossing paper. Sorry, powder, not paper. Just give it a little tap off there. So that's it there. We'll just clean up our embossing powder. And put that aside for later. Now you want to get your heat gun, so it's going to be a little bit loud. Now a trick with this is to use a pair of tweezers to hold your paper, because it does get hot. So I always like to, sorry about the noise, I like to just heat up the back of the paper a little bit first, and then turn it over. Now I love what happens. My heat gun's a little bit cold, so it's taking a little bit longer. But can you see how the powder melts? So it's all melted there. Alright, so what we're going to do from there is we're going to do put some ink on it to get our coloured background. So we're going to be using 4 inks, sorry. We've got Mango Melody, which is what I'll use now, Gorgeous Grape, Real Red, and Night of Navy. So you need to protect your surface. I've just got you can get silicone mats from Stampin' Up. I've just got a cheap silicone mat here, but any bit of plastic, because the ink will go everywhere. So just get your stamp pad. Now these are a foam sponge, which we sell. You can get them and cut them into quarters. You don't need a whole one, and then just staple a bit of paper to the top. That just helps grip it. And you just dab it in your ink, and I want quite a dark color on this, so I'm just going to run it all over. until I get the colour that I want. And I want quite a dark. I like the nice bold colours. So what the heat embossing does is it's going to leave our flowers, and as you can see, they're coming out nicely there. And then what I did, I just got a baby wipe and I just gave it a quick wipe over just to get a little, any of the ink that's stuck on the top of the embossing, so that I've got nice white flowers. I'll just put that to the side just to dry off a little bit. I might hit it with a heat gun again. But you can see how much ink is left on your mat. So I always like to put a silicone mat or some plastic, something like that down, just to keep your work surface a little bit cleaner. So I've actually done the other colours in advance, and I've got them all here. So what you need to do is stack them. I'm just going to put the heat gun on that just to dry it off a little bit. Okay. So you want to stack them all together so they're nice and even. And grab your paper trimmer. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut these down into some random shapes. But what's really important is that you keep them all in the same order. Now, I have the older paper trimmer from Stampin' Up, so doesn't quite go through that the fourth layer. So I'm just going to do that one separately, that last little layer there. And then just turn it. We want 6 or 7 different pieces, but we need to keep them in order. So I'm just gonna move over a little bit so I can keep them in order there. So it doesn't matter where you cut, it's wherever you want to cut. They all stay in order there. What if I got 4? Oops, I moved that. Under there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll do one more cut. Let go of them. If you've got time to just let your paper dry off a little bit, I shouldn't have lifted that up then. Let it dry a little bit. I lifted that, so I'm just going to use my paper snips. Now, what a really good thing to do with your scissors is, we know that we should always cut paper with paper scissors and fabric with fabric scissors. But when you're doing your crafting and your cards, quite often you need to cut sticky things. So I just put a piece of coloured duct tape over my scissors. Now these ones I only use for sticky things, and then my other ones I use purely for paper. So now that we've got our pieces cut, I'm just going to move them up a little bit, give us some space to work. You'll want to cut 4 pieces of Whisper White, and that's in a 10.7 centimetre by 8.2 centimetres, so that's the sizing. And this is our base that we're going to stick it onto. So then you just grab one of your pieces and some of your liquid glue. Now, I don't know how well this is going to work today because it's getting a bit low. And you just want to stick it onto your base. So start with one piece and then mix up the colours. So we did yellow, we're going to do purple now. And these 4 bits that you've coloured and heat embossed will actually give you 4 cards. So yet go, your Tombow liquid glue is good because it'll give you a little bit of wriggle movement, which means that you can get it nice and in the right spot. That needs to come down a little bit. There you go, I managed to get glue everywhere. Been good at doing that lately, getting glue everywhere. This one goes that way. What did I do? 1, 2, 3. Then we've got to go for, what colour haven't we used? Red. Just want to stick them all on. We'll go back to yellow. Line them up best you can. We've gone a little bit crooked here, so I might trim it down once I've finished. Do purple. My glue's almost empty. And the last one we'll do in blue. Come on. I'm going to use my fine tip glue, which is this one here, just to put under the edge so I don't get too much glue in there. It's not sticking down. Just hold that down until it sticks. And that's your pattern. I'm just going to move these out of the way because I'm not going to do all 4 cards today, but I can't muck up the order. Alright, from there you just want to grab a card base. So grab your A4 piece of paper, and today we're using Costal Cabana. You want to cut it at 14.9 centimeters and score at 10.5. Fold it over. So there's your card base. So we're just going to stick this one on, and I might use a different glue to stick it on just because the other one's dying. And I liked it stuck on at a little bit of an angle. So now we just need the little sentiment. So we've got a scrap piece of paper again, and we want to cut a half an inch. Now you need to make it a little bit longer than what you need. We'll trim the edges down once we've put our sentiment on. It's just easy to make it a little bit longer to use our Stamparatus to hold it down, because we need to stamp on this twice. So this is our Stamparatus here. And I've got my magnets. I've always covered in duct tape, so if they hit together, they're less likely to break. It also makes it easier to pick them up. So I just want to line that up there, so it's straight. And pop my magnets on. Now we're going to be using a sentiment out of the Butterfly Gala set, and we're going to use You've Been on My Mind. So I'm just going to see if I've, yeah, it's nowhere near where I want it. So you can just pop your stamp wherever you'd like it, and then you pick it up with your Stamparatus. This means that we can stamp multiple times, and it's always going to go back in the same spot. So you just tap, we're using our black Memento ink, and put it on. So as you can see, I tapped it really lightly and we didn't quite get all of the wording. This is a beauty with the Stamparatus. You can go again, and we're still missing the Y. And there you go. That's stamped. Now you want to clean it. We can use your Shammy to clean it with. And we're going to emboss this as well. So we want to use our Versamark again. The beauty about the clear embossing powder is you can stamp in whatever color you like, and then just put the clear, and then you've got colored embossing. So we're just doing black today, but we'll still use the clear. So you want to stamp that down. Now what I forgot to do, which I always do, is put the embossing buddy. So you should have gone over it with the embossing buddy first, just to stop it from the powder sticking, but too late. Already done it. So take that out of your Stamparatus, and that can go away. We're going to bring back our scrap piece of paper and our clear embossing powder. So you probably can't see that, but we've actually got some of the powder stuck elsewhere on that. That's okay. It's clear, so you're not going to see it. This is where your tweezers come in very, very handy for holding on to this one, because it does get hot. So you can see it going nice and black and shiny. I'm going to focus. There you go. So there's our sentiment, all heat embossed. Just going to hit that on the edge again. Miss the end. So that's it there. So we want to trim this one down. Just going to use my little baby guillotine to do that. So I want to trim it quite close to the wording near mind, but I'm going to leave a little bit on the other end just so that we can stick a little flower on it. So with this one, we can stick it on the card with dimensionals. Now I'm going to use our mini dimensionals today, which are these ones here, just because it's quite a skinny little sentiment. Now with your dimensionals, once you've used all the little sections in the middle, don't throw out these outside bits, because you can just cut them down and use them as well Don't want to waste anything. So just peel the backings off those. Stuck to my finger. Come off. And I'm going to pop this down on the card, down near the bottom, but right against the edge. So the last thing we have to do with this card is you want just a scrap bit of paper. And I'm going to be using this little stamp here in our Memento black. So I'm just going to stamp all 4 because I need 4, 1 for each card. Now here you can use our blender pens or our markers or our watercolor pencils to color them in. But I actually want to use one of the colors that I have, the yellow from my card, and I don't have the yellow in our other products. So what you can do is you get your stamp pad and just place a little bit of ink on the corner of a block. And then you grab our blending pens. So this one's actually retiring, but we're getting, I don't know if you can, it's not focusing. We're actually getting a range of blender pens. So what's really good is they act like a bit like a watercolor. You just pick up a little bit of ink from the side of your block and do your coloring. And it's that simple. You can color as much or as little, depending how artistic you want to be, how creative you want to be. And then you just grab a scrap piece of paper and just run your pen out a couple of times until it runs clear, and you're right to go for your next color. So they are a great alternative to if you don't have any of our blending pens or watercolor pencils or anything like that. So then with these, we're just going to fussy cut it. So I'll just cut one off for now. And then you can stick this on with your Tombow glue. Or I'm going to use our glue dots to stick this one on. So the glue dots come in a roll. Let's find a dot, pop it on, and then just peel it off. And we're going to just stick that to the side of the card there. And there you have it. A simple card to do with a few different things. I love heat embossing. I love the effect that it gives. So I hope you enjoyed joining me today.